So first of all, so who am I? I'm a geographer. So I thought it was interesting to tell you also a little bit about myself, because some of you are students and maybe thinking about what they are going to do after that. And risk can be done by everyone, because we are always thinking about what is the risk of doing something, what are the risks of making a decision, and so on and so on. So I'm coming from the geography. I have worked on natural risk management, flood management, and so on. And I have also carried out a PhD on crisis management and more precisely, crisis simulation. And this is what I am talking about today. So the French Institute for Risk Management is an association, which is a not-for-profit association founded in 2002 by 14 industrials that you have here in picture. We have approximately 150 members, individuals, and also organisms. The Grenoble University is part of the association, as Julien said. So it's a French-speaking association, so this is clearly wanted aspect of the association. So there's a development in all the countries where we speak French. In Africa, for example, there is a big work about development. The Institute gathers risk science experts in different topics in two main families, the families of engineering science and human and social sciences. And we have heard just before me that mixing all these specialties are very interesting for risk management. So we have working groups in all these different topics, some scientific projects as well that allow academics and industrials to work together, and also congresses, scientific congresses. The next one is the Lambda Mu Congress this October. So now I am going to dive into the topic of crisis. I will speak a few words about the concept of crisis. It's really important to share with you some ideas about crisis because, you know, we always hear about crisis. Every day you turn on the radio or you look at your phone and it's the crisis in Ukraine, it's the crisis of energy, it's the climate crisis, the economic crisis. It's like the crisis every time, everywhere. I can tell you that I feel good today. I'm not in crisis today. I'm good. But it's the crisis everywhere. So how can it be the crisis everywhere? And we all like cool in this good-looking amphitheater with AC on, so we are good. So if I won't make the exercise today, but when I have time with the students, I ask them to choose an event that they consider as a crisis. If you think a little bit of it, you will probably give me different events, some events that you have lived, you as a person, maybe a car accident, an accident in the mountains here, probably. Maybe you will give me historical events, the World War II or the economic crisis in 2008. And when we speak together about those events, we all face that they are different, but in the meantime, we can find some characteristics that are shared together. So the thing is, how can they be different events, but in the same times, they share same characteristics? So I give you the first idea that a crisis cannot just be the crisis of something, okay? the crisis must be associated to an event, with a system. So, for example, we have said that we hear about the crisis, so it's a concept which is not clear. We have also the problem that we mistaken the crisis with emergency. For example, if there is an accident somewhere, we often easily say that it's a crisis. We are dealing with a crisis, but is it really a crisis? We really need to define it, because we have to adapt ourselves in the way to respond to it. Okay. The fact that we make the confusion with the accidents most of the time comes from here you have the cycle of risk management, and in the little box which is event management, you will find the accident, the emergency, or the crisis itself. But it's still not very clear why how can we use the term of crisis. Here, I won't make a zoom, but this is this is quoted from my PhD thesis, and it's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different definitions of crisis that we could find in the scientific literature. Today, if I go back on Google Scholar or other, I will maybe find 10 more definitions that are all different. They are different, but if you go inside, you feel like, okay, they are different, but you found elements that are shared in those definitions. And the work that I've done is that when speaking with practitioners, when learning about those different definitions, I have found that we can have characteristics, two types of characteristics. The characteristics of the situation itself, such as the chaos, the expectedness, the important consequences, uncertainty, the evolving nature of the problem, an irregular rhythm, numerous stakeholders, information management issues, and media involvement. And in parallel, you have the reaction to the crisis, the reaction of those who are living the crisis, such as the astonishment, the time pressure, the anxiety, changes in relationship, and the relative nature of the crisis. The relative nature of the crisis, this characteristic is really important, because based on our history, based on our knowledge and experience, we won't react in the same way. For example, if you take a firefighter who is in front of a fire, he will know how to react and probably manage the problem. If I am in front of a fire, I will probably find a solution, but maybe the wrong solution, maybe I will generate another problem, and in this phase I will feel very, how can I say, I will feel like I don't know what to do in order to manage this problem. So these characteristics are shared between all these situations. So this is why it's interesting to take the concept of crisis as the reaction of a system to an event. Okay? The crisis is to be considered beyond the nature of the triggering event that characterizes the hazard and not the crisis itself. For example, if you take an organism, such as a company, an industry. If there is a flood, if there is a flood in the river, let's say 2 kilometers away, it will bring as consequences the fact that the business will not continue normally because of logistics problem. If you take the problem of COVID, you will be in lack of drivers, and you will also have the consequence of logistics problems. So it's really important to, of course, take the nature of the problem, take the nature of the hazard, but the reaction of the system will give you the key on to respond to the situation. So yeah, if you take the example of COVID-19, we can ask ourselves if it's a health crisis, an economic crisis, a social crisis. Maybe some of you had health problems. Maybe some of you, the students, we have heard a lot of that, had economic problems. Maybe some of you had, let's say, psychological problems or other. So if you don't focus on the system itself, then you won't be able to take the situation in the good way and respond to it. About crisis simulations. So I try to speak a little quick in order to have time to play together. So about crisis simulations. So crisis simulations are quite interesting because they give us the opportunity to experience a situation without creating the situation itself. So of course it's very interesting not to put the fire in the building, but to say that there is a fire in the building, what do I do? Okay? So this is interesting in the scope of crisis because you will be taken away, like out of your scope, because it's the case of crisis, without creating the real problem. And if you focus your crisis simulation, which is the case today with the iCrisis simulation, on the psychocognitive elements, then you will share the same experience as someone who has really lived a crisis situation, because your mind will be turned in the same situation as the real situation. So this is this is important, and also as I have written, the crisis situations are not frequent, even if we hear about it every day, and as we need to gain experience, we have to create the opportunities. So this slide is just to give you 4 examples of different crisis simulations. We can have the full-scale simulations on top left. You can have the virtual full-scale simulations, which is a little bit like what we are going to do just after this speech. It's just that we work on a scenario and a simulation that has been virtually created. You have the model-based simulations on the bottom left. For example, the airplane simulations, and on the bottom right you have the simulations in kit, which is more like a tabletop game, such as Monopoly or something else. So you have different types. They are not prepared in the same way. You will, of course, need more means for the first, the full-scale simulations, rather than the simulations in kit, and they do not give you the same outputs as well. So there is a need to understand for which reason you are going to make a simulation and which one you are going to choose. So the approach of the iCrisis simulation. So the iCrisis simulation has been developed for many years now from pedagogical activities and taken after that in research projects. So it's long-term work. It's a simulation that is based on a web platform, which helps us to use it very easily. This is why we have asked you to take your laptops. We need an internet connection, and we go on the web platform to share the information that will generate the simulation. So as I said just before, it's a semi-virtual and tabletop simulation. We will be in classrooms such as crisis units, okay, and we will share the information through the platform. The big objective is to raise awareness of the strategic level and decision making. We will be set at the strategic level. What we have to know is when we deal with a problem, such as an emergency or a crisis, you have different levels to respond to it. You have the on-site level. Let's say it like the operational level. It's the firefighter who tries to extinguish the fire, and you have the tactical and strategical level. The strategical level will work on the strategic issues, such as do my missions are still in process? Is my image still good for my customers, for example? So this simulation is able to adapt itself to the level of participants. So today you are not specialists of crisis management, but we will work together and it won't be a problem. And we can also work with a different number of participants. So the objectives, more precisely. We will try to reproduce and confront the characteristics of the crisis that you have seen just before. We will try to contribute to the understanding of the decision-making process. It's not easy to make a decision, and making a decision in crisis situation is way more difficult. We will try to improve the conditions of cooperative learning for you, the participants, because making a decision, thinking as a person, it's something that is not very easy, but working in a group, it's also different, and it can bring also difficulties. We will try to sensitize you to the potential weaknesses in your preparation, so it will be easy for you because you are not prepared. So you will find the interest of being prepared before leaving the crisis and trying to manage it. And we will try to make participants aware of the different behaviors that can be induced in the crisis situations. For example, maybe you can be a bit stressed, maybe you won't pay attention to how you speak to your colleague, and your colleague won't take it let's say friendly, for example, and all these have consequences on the process of the crisis management, of the, let's say, issue management. We will try to raise awareness of the importance of certain soft skills, okay? So being technical is very important. You are engineers or you will be engineers, okay? But soft skills are also interested to manage the whole project, and to demonstrate the problems of crisis communication, which probably is the main problem, the communication, the management of the high flow of information, for example. So we will be divided in 4 groups. So 3 groups of players with the municipality, the prefecture, and the company which is located on the territory of the municipality. So you will have to divide yourself into those 3 groups. You will represent the strategical crisis unit of one of these 3 groups, and there will be an animation team with me and other colleagues who will inject elements of the scenario, and you will respond and make the situation. It's not us against you, it's the scenario, the storyline, and we work all together, okay? So you see the arrows. The plain arrows shows that you can send a message from someone to someone else, and the dotted arrows, the dashed arrows, explains that the animation team receive a copy of each message that is transferred from someone to another one. And it's really important for the animation team in order to keep an eye on the ongoing situation. You will have observers in each room, because the observer is able to see something that the group itself doesn't see. When you are really focused on a task, you can like you're not able to feel the same things that someone who takes a distance from you. Okay, so this is why the observer is really important for a crisis simulation. And journalists, so we have said that the media are really important during a crisis. It was the beginning of my speech to say that if you turn on the radio, you hear about crisis. Yeah, the media, they have to give the information to the audience, and to do that, they go and try to have the information by all means possible. So they are really important. So this is a list of elements just to prepare the simulation. It's a little briefing. So you are at the strategical level, as I said. You are not on site. The director of the Grenoble University is not just walking around. He or she, I don't know, is in his desk office, okay? He works from there, and if there's a problem, he goes in the crisis unit room and try to manage the problem. He won't go on site and try to extinguish the fire. Who will do that? The security operationals or the firefighters, for example. So you are not on site. The animation team will play all these stakeholders who are on site, okay? If you think strategy, you must ask yourself about the business continuity, the missions. What are my missions? What are the missions of my organism? For example, if you are a university, the missions are teaching, exams, diplomas, research. If you think, let's say, 5 minutes altogether, you will make a list of the main missions. If you are in an industry, you have to product, you have to trade, you have to protect your employees, and so on and so on. Okay, so take a few minutes and think about the real missions that make your organism alive. How long those missions are interrupted, how and when do we restart? Because it's the question which is important. If you don't give class in a university, you're useless, okay? So after that, you have the integrity of your organism and your employees or people who depends on you. your image. So these three main points are, I think, important to think about when you are at the strategic level. And do not be attracted by the fire itself or the ground movement or the float. Okay? There are the fire and rescue services for that. So you must remain in your room. It's important because if you leave your room, your crisis unit, who's going to manage the crisis at the strategical level? That's the first issue. And the second issue is if you go on site, you put yourself in danger. And if you are injured or maybe dead, who is going to make the decision? So you're adding difficulties to the complex situation. You make decisions to generate actions. So it means that you must check the ongoing process of your decisions. We have to protect this building. So you won't protect the building yourself. You will ask someone to make the protection of the building. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, is the building protected? Where is, at which step the protection process is, and so on and so on. Okay? When you don't know something, you have to ask. Sometimes the participants of the simulation said, yes, but we did not know that. But it's normal. When you don't know something, you ask. Even in the real world, the professionals, sometimes they don't know something. And it's way more true when you are in a crisis simulation. Regarding the contacts that you have, like in the real world, you have a first circle contacts, okay? Maybe your family, some of your friends, your colleagues. But sometimes you need to talk to someone else. Let's say another colleague or medical. And what do? You look for the way to contact this person. Okay, so it's the same in a crisis simulation. And it's also very true because you have to deal with a new problem, so you have to work with new stakeholders. So if you don't find the contact of the person you want to talk to, then you ask for it. It's the same. So I will show you in the platform how to do that. And do not overreact because every reaction has a consequence. If I tell you that there's a rain and you are the director of the industry, you said, okay, there's a rain, I will stop the production. I will tell you all your customers are upset because they won't receive their product. Okay? So do not overreact. Okay, I go on the platform. It's 10, so I'm good, I think. Up. I will give to each of the three groups a USB flash with some documents. In the USB flash, est-ce qu'il y a... Julien, je peux l'enlever ta clé? Non, je peux, ouais. It's just to show you. Up. So you will receive the USB flash. You go inside the directory. Okay. Arkema, so this is the company. So you have at least one document which is very important. This one, iCrisis, summer school. Okay, and you will find the elements to connect yourself. So you copy the web address. You are welcome to go on Google Chrome browser because the platform sometimes has bugs in Firefox, for example, or Explorer. So go on Google Chrome and there won't be a problem. You paste the address, you go back to your document, you have a login and a mode pass. Okay, so the login is the name of the crisis unit, and the and the password. Sorry, Arkema, no, Arkema. Then you are connected, okay, on the platform. It's a very easy to use platform, okay? It looks like Gmail, a very easy Gmail. You have on the left some possibilities to make research. Yes, sorry. And in the main box, you have the possibility to write messages and read all the messages that will be stored here in the middle. So if you want to write a message, you click on Compose a Message. You choose a role which is inside the crisis unit. Okay, so I have prepared 6 rows here, so it's let's say the director wants to say something. 2, then you look for, here in bold you have the name of the group, okay? So Jarry is the municipality, the prefecture is the prefecture, and media is the journalists. And you have the animation, okay? The animation. So if you want to speak with the mayor of the municipality, then you click on mayor. You can add the tags. The tags is how to identify the type of message. It's important to choose a tag in order to during the debriefing give information about what type of messages has been transferred. If you don't do it this morning, there's no problem, because I don't think that we will have the time to really study that. So let's say that it's an information and you write a message.
So just a compliment here, you have understood that you are connected as if you were in the company, and it can be either prefecture, state, or municipality.
Yeah, that's the example that I have taken is you are connected as the company. Company name is Arkema. Okay, I will give 2 other USB flash to the municipality of Jarry and the prefecture. So you will have to find the PDF with the different elements to connect yourself, and you will be in one of these 3 groups, and the media. So you see the message is has been shared from the director of the company to the municipality, the mayor of the municipality, and the date, the hour, and the message itself. Okay. If you want to, let's say, write to someone who doesn't exist, you go in the list and you say, okay, I want to speak with chemical experts, for example. There is no chemical experts, okay, in the animation team. So I write my message to the animator, okay. It's a request, let's say, and you write to the chemical expert. Can you make an assessment? Okay, voilà. So you have written your message, and the animation team. So give me. I log in. I have received it as the animator. I will reply, okay, not from the animator, but from the chemical expert. I create the role, and I said, I confirm, okay, give me the data. And the message has been shared. If I go back on Arkema, you see the role of chemical expert has been created. Okay? So, do you have questions? Yet? No? Jean-Marc, do you want to add something which is not clear?
Then I think we will move to the practical organization.
Uh-huh.
So if you have finished,
Yes.
we can speak about this.
Yes, we will move to the practical organization. So we will ask you to... Oui? Sorry.
So we will play, okay, we will four groups, we will play, and then as the animator, at the end of
The simulation, yeah.
the simulation, you will give us the feedback if the crisis are
Yes, we will try to keep the time with us in order to have enough time to discuss together at the end of the simulation in order to share what we have lived. Normally, this type of simulation approach lasts one day, okay, an entire day, but today we wanted to allow you to experience it as a demo, okay? So I think that we will keep something like 20 minutes to share all together about what we have experienced. The idea is, at the end of the simulation, is to how can I say it? Is to share the fact that we have not lived the same situation in each group. Even if the story was the same, like the elements injected by the animation are the same for everyone, but you, as a different group, you have not lived the same situation because the accident or the flood did not have the same consequence on your organism from another, okay? And maybe you will give us some elements about the difficulties to communicate, to understand the messages, so yeah, these are the main elements that we can speak about in the debriefing. The documents, so we will share the information in English, of course. The documents are in French because they are dedicated to organisms which are French, so, and they are real documents, okay? And as we knew that there are French-speaking people in each groups, okay, we thought that it's manageable. Okay, inside the USB flash, you will find a document which is un ordre du jour. Comment on dit? Yeah, an agenda of a meeting. Do you know why? Because it never occurs that a crisis unit is gathered before the problem. Because now, at 10:16, there's no problem, okay? But you are going in your crisis unit. You can ask yourself why there's no problem. But yes, you go in your crisis units because you have a meeting and you have an agenda. So open the agenda and try to start to speak on the topic of the agenda. Be focused on the platform. Check the messages. If there's a message that gives you the information that it's snowy on the Mont Blanc, you say, okay, good. And if there is something which is really important for you, then at this time you quit your meeting and you say, okay, we are on our crisis unit. Okay?